Well, hi everybody, and welcome to the Ascension Playground. My name's Ursie, and today I'm with my star sister Roxanne. Hey, Roxanne.
Hello, hello.
She and I met a couple years ago, and our common denominator is Galactic Astrology and the good work of Julia Balaz. And then our soul connections grew even more as we started to have a conversation around all things metaphysical. So Roxanne and I have many amazing like intersections of motherhood, a clear desire to share and inspire with those who are also on this seeker's path of going inward and really sitting well with yourself. And it's my heart's delight to share, since Roxanne, you and I met a couple years ago, now like where you're at. And I do want to share your website, but I wanted to let you say hello before we get going.
Yes, of course. Well, it's always an honor and pleasure to be in this space with you. You know, similar to the resonance of Julia when I was in that space with her, I feel that with you. And you have been one of my mentors throughout this whole process. You were the person, I think there was 12 certified practitioners at the time when I was guided to book a session. You had just recently been certified and there was 12 of you, and you were the person I just kept resonating with, and I said okay. And I remember getting these kind of images of your paintings even before we had our session. It was almost like once that container was set and we had the booking, we had the payment in place, all of that, the container was locked in for us. I started to see these beautiful paintings, and you were like, well, nobody knows about those. The purple flowers, and I don't know if you remember this. And the sound alchemy that was happening through some of my meditative states with us. And so I knew when we came together, it was going to be really powerful. And indeed it was, because, well, I know you by Ursula, even though you're saying Ursie, but it was in that container that you were the first person in my journey to really validate and confirm my experiences through the astrology. And that is why I have such a soft spot for astrology, because it has really brought my parallel lives, I feel like, at times. Sometimes I'm in this grounded motherhood, or I'm in the role of, sister or daughter. But then there's these other realms that we live in, different frequencies of vibrations, and you were able to bridge them together between what I had experienced as a child and then living in this body, living in this earthly body, having this spiritual experience. And so you have a very special place in my journey, and that's why moments when we get to connect like this are just so special to me.
Well, thank you so much for that validation, because I get so interested in other people that I forget to kind of even notice my own gifts, let's say. So it really touches my heart that you mentioned the paintings, because it's almost like we need each other to help perhaps validate and create a certain kind of resonant frequency so that everyone lifts up together. It's not any longer a top down, like here's the teacher and here's the triangle. Instead, it really is more about alignment with ourselves and our family of frequency that Pam Gregory talks about. So if you don't connect necessarily with the family of your origin, your brothers and sisters of blood, giving yourself permission, if you know that you're very different, like Roxanne and I have done, it's like find the frequency that matches you. And what you just gave me back was this idea of, oh, I didn't know that the paintings came and talked with you ahead of time. I've been praying for validation where I can stand in truth and know that these are truly looking like paintings, but they're truly more about healing technologies. And when the time is right, I know they're engaging with the Syrian star families with the perfect sound frequencies and hertz of angles and geometry. But then I know there's another layer and there's more coming as they, you know, start evolving and talking to me more directly too.
But
And
I
we were
believe
talking
that
about
your paintings are memories that have awakened in you to bring to all of us to help us remember. And that is very important work, because where I believe we are at in the stage of evolution is remembering. Once more of us can remember these droppings that we're getting through our dream state, through the painting, through the astrology, through these activations within each other, because what we're doing essentially is, we said it before, is activating each other. And the more we can remember those and others help us, then we have a very strong united force of positive, unconditional love coming in. So
thank you.
dragons are key players in that. And one of the profound fields of dragons that came in were the Andarian dragons. And from this experience, the Andarian dragons are very connected to Mount Shasta, where, as we were speaking, you have a lot of Andarian crystals in your house or your home or your energetic field. Mount Shasta is one of the only places on the planet you can truly get them, and they're authentic. And so there is a very strong dragon energy in Mount Shasta. And I know that there's a lot of high vibrational people actually making a voyage to Mount Shasta this summer. I've come across several people in my field that are making this journey, including myself. And so I am looking forward to, well, hopefully connecting with the dragons. I did find a dragon rider to help me through some of the trails in Mount Shasta, so we'll see.
Wow. Well, our colleague with Quantum Soul Guidance, Kimberly James, is going to be having a pilgrimage retreat at the end of August. And I'm planning to go up and join her and possibly even share a little mini workshop on human design. But she's going to be talking about the Philosopher's Stone and Hermetic principles. So it'll be great between drum circles, hikes, and vortex adventures. But I do believe when the mountain calls, and it doesn't call everybody, but it's a
No.
timing. Like I'm being called back. Going back to the paintings real quick, what you shared with me really echoes what this intuitive knowing, this voice that comes through that said basically you are doing a self-portraiture still, like you're painting your life, Ursula. And so, because I keep asking, why have I been painting the same geometry from Egypt, this Osirian divine blueprint for a temple in Abydos? Why that one? And how is that a self-portrait? And it's this idea, like you were saying, like we start resonating and remembering or bringing our parts back together. That blueprint is about regeneration and rejuvenation. And I think as we're going through this really pivotal time for everyone in the collective, it is this idea of remember that you're more than what you have been told. And I think you and I share that, you working with children, having a big family and continuing to work with adults and children on this path of inner knowingness. So I know in Mount Shasta, the inner earth beings of Telos. And then you listen to Lee Harris talk with Pam Gregory, and there are more than just one inner earth, more than just one inner worlds. And so it's this subterranean, as the further we go in, it's like that toroidal, and then further we go out into the stars. And I keep going back to Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. You know, he's holding out his arms, and then it's a circle with the radius of the human body squaring the circle, which brings us back again to the Philosopher's Stone and the Hermetic principles. And it's like Okay, and then bring in the dragon energy through you with this idea of before time began, before linearity in 3D. I'm just going to pause there. How do you work with the Andara crystals that you currently have? I mean, do you have a
Well, I
ceremony?
plan to pick some up. I don't currently
Okay,
have any. It's more about I've been guided for several years now to work with Mount Shasta
I see.
energetically, and it got expedited when I was working with Araya's community spiritual group as well. And now they're physically calling me.
I'm
It's
getting this is like potent, like the drum is beating.
it's very powerful, and the inner earth beings are playing such a phenomenal, courageous role in connecting humans to our higher selves, way more than we will probably ever give them credit for. And they've been working tirelessly, I believe, for generations and generations and generations. And I think we're coming to a point where we're finally going to work with them collaboratively. So people that are can tune into those frequencies, especially the children. I have worked with many children who have said, Mrs. Z, I have seen fairies. I have seen gnomes. I have seen elves. I have seen dragons and unicorns. Unicorns are a favorite, especially among the female gender. And I believe all of them. I believe they are seeing them and are communicating with them. And this generation of children is so highly attuned to them, but they're not given this space to really expand that. So, in my professional way, I try to always allow some space for that, for them to just share, and just let them share, and it's really important because the more of us that can connect, then we bring this and get stronger and stronger.
Here comes a little
Like,
dragon.
just like my child who's feeling the energy. The reason why he's around us is because he's feeling that energy right now. So,
Hello.
so he came out of nowhere because he felt us talking about
I,
it. I really feel that way.
it's so wild. I mean, I'll tell you, one of my guilty pleasures recently is to go back, and I've been watching Game of Thrones all over again. So this whole idea of dragon and myth and story and that duality of light and dark and the fights there is some magic when you can distance yourself to the idea of wow, the heroism that can come up or the humanity in all of its various colors without judgment. It's like, wow. So, dragon, Mount Shasta. So, you probably know Mount Shasta is considered the root chakra of Mother Gaia. So, Mother Earth's root. And gosh, if that's where the dragons are guiding you, there's a place called Black Butte. There aren't any trees on top of it. It's like a what do you call that? Air traffic control
Yes, yes.
for different crafts. And then Shasta itself oftentimes has lenticular clouds that come over, and those particular shapes oftentimes mask craft. And so, in this age of disclosure, and you and I were talking, you haven't seen the movie yet of Disclosure Day, but you know, what makes just what we can see the only thing that's true? When we know we can't see gravity, we can't see energy with um, Wi-Fi, but we know it exists. And so as we change our frequency, and like Roxanne is saying, the dragons have been coming up for her, Andara stones, Mount Shasta, to make that pilgrimage across the country to come to the mountain. Um, you just start putting these breadcrumbs together, and it's like, okay, whatever wants to come through will come through. Um, you're coming to Shasta at the end of July, is that?
Yes, I am. Yay. So excited.
It's remarkable. It takes a while to acclimate, typically. So you have to hydrate, and it's like, whoa. And people have seen beings um, walking the earth, Adama and others that look a little more Nordic. And there is a woman named Haruko Blue Star. She has an art gallery where she's actually gone into Talos and I think seen the geometries. So I hope you'll go see her gallery as well. Like it's been validated by another man. I think his name is Lowell Johnson. He said, when I was down in inner earth, I saw her drawings as pillars at the front of Talos.
And I'm
So
getting major goosebumps on that. So
yeah.
those truth bumps, there's some sort of strong truth to it. Uh, that's beautiful, and I will make sure to go see her art shop.
Good. Well, let's segue over to your beautiful offerings because Julia has over 70 practitioners offering quantum soul guidance through galactic astrology. And each one of us is a little bit different. I mean, we share a common base, but Roxanne, your offerings are really intriguing to me in its subtlety and variation. So Roxanne, for people to find you, we go to, I'll let you say your website.
So either cosmicphonebooth.com or under my name, roxanneziebarth.com. Both of those will get you to the same spot.
And this archetypal image of a cosmic phone booth, can you share a little bit more in case people are watching that may not fully appreciate?
I so I feel so I've been to London. I've traveled several times to London, and I was always fascinated with these phone booths that were like old school retro, and such a symbol of London, which is, if you follow those ley lines, grid lines, that part of the world is considered the heart chakra, right, of our planet. So London has a special place, and that whole area has a special place. But this phone booth idea is I've always felt like I could bring forth certain messages or energies to people that are from the ethers, from the cosmos, but really anchor it in to their journey. And so we have these roots really connected to the mycelium, the tree network, which is incredible. The trees hold so much wisdom and so much imagery. They have seen wars come and go, they've seen generations come and go, family lines, dynasties, and so forth. And so, bringing in this knowledge of the tree roots, mycelium, and really bridging it through this phone booth idea where I'm in this container, this safe container, um, protected container where I'm given gratefully messages or sharings or experiences for others to align in their journey. And so that's what came through when I was really working with, well, what do I want to call my business and how do I want it to be reflected? And so it's like you're kind of, I feel like I teleport through this cosmic phone booth to some degree in some sort of way to connect to these different, again, frequencies, these different vibrations of realms that exist all around us. It is not just tangible, which is where we're trying to work past. I feel like we're trying to work past the physical, tangible, concrete and expand ourselves to seeing beyond the veil, to seeing beyond what we can touch. Touch is very important. We need that sense, but there's also more to it because there's more to us, far more than we've ever been taught or believed to know.
I love your message. Your deeper self has been waiting for the call, and it's a beautiful um, metaphor. And now here are your offerings: galactic astrology readings, forest Reiki, and an intuitive session, which I know includes more like human design and others. But tell us first about this forest Reiki because you're talking about the mycelium and I first went right ahead and said, and the tree branches and leaves are receiving the starlight. So it's like they're like the bridge, as your forest Reiki image here shares. Like it's the whole tree, which is pretty astonishing, bridging starlight and inner earth. So can you tell us more about this forest Reiki session?
Yes. So Forest Reiki was founded by a lady named Michelle Wolf, who she had her journey through the forest. And again, I'm not going to speak on behalf really of her journey, but to the degree, she had a connection with energetic beings, and, she was given this beautiful information on what to do with it. And so I immediately resonated with the trees and this idea of forest Reiki when I was pregnant.
Mm.
And I knew from living in Germany that at a time when I was really introspective and really like understanding my place as becoming a new mother and kind of disconnected from family and my life in the States, I had a lot of time to just be in nature. And that's when I noticed that the trees were really speaking to me in an unconventional way. And as that grew and expanded, I had a particular tree that really helped me facilitate the birth of my first child. I was very fortunate to give a water birth among a lot of the doctors and medical systems telling me, you should do it this way, you should do it that way. I felt like, no, I wanted to be sovereign in how I wanted to give birth. And the water was one of those ways. And so
Mm.
I was fortunate to have the water birth, but also what came through was I needed extra help in that process. And this tree that I had really connected with during my pregnancy came through. That was the pivotal moment where I knew, wow, the trees have so much healing and so much support that I never recognized. And so it was later when I moved back to the East Coast, Forest Reiki appeared out of thin air, I feel like. And what makes this type of Reiki really interesting is there's not a whole bunch of symbols. There's some, not like the traditional Reiki systems when people get certified, but it's really using the trees to help facilitate the session. And when I work with people, certain trees come through that are very powerful for their journey. So, where one might have a willow tree come through, somebody else might have an oak tree or a cherry blossom. And these are just some of the ones I'm naming, but there's many more, of course. And so they'll have like a tree guide almost, if that makes sense,
Oh, yeah.
helping them facilitate their journey. And I get to bring that to their awareness, and then I get to help them share that. But
Wow.
also, what comes through with the trees is also multi-galactic beings. Because if you think about those branches, like you were saying, it's almost like they're reaching out to the heavens, reaching out
Yeah.
to the cosmos to pull in that guidance too.
I just love this
Wow.
image that you have of the mycelium. I don't know if I can show it, but maybe I'll have to do another separate slide of that. But that is extraordinary. Um, Thank you for that. I think our connection back to Mother Nature is so critical. Um, your phone booth, I feel like after you go to Mount Shasta, I have a feeling there's going to be an additional something or other, maybe a dragon in the sky, but coming from the heart chakra in like Glastonbury, England area to now Mount Shasta, you're carrying that portal of light. Here, well, let's go ahead and look quickly at your galactic astrology readings, because can you believe it's already been almost 4 years since I was certified? Like time has just warped. So here we go. You seem to offer a really comprehensive and full court process of working with people.
I, I really think that these are important readings for people. And I always want to make sure I'm in a space to deliver the best quality and quality of messages and quality of visuals to them, so that not only can they, hear it, but they can see some of it too, like what I'm seeing. And it just is it's a beautiful addition to their journey. Again, just like your paintings. If you have one of Ursula's paintings in the room, it's going to be this beautiful addition to the energy that you're holding and that you're in that space. We We all might take a step forward to go 3 back. You might go 2 forward to go 8 back. It's like this weaving process, but when you can surround yourself with kinesthetic art or tap into a portion of the astrology reading when you're maybe in a low spot, in an ideal spot, it can uplift you within seconds. You know, just like Pam Gregory always mentions breath work. The breath. The breath is so important. Now add that to art that's around you or to a reading that's around you, and it changes everything. So
to guide you back to nature and into your own body and self. Yeah, there's all these, you have a very broad dashboard that you can help support someone with, and it feels quite holistic. In fact, I recognize that you said doing a reading for someone individually could include transits. And so I wanted to share a transit that I did for today. We're currently on the quantum soul guidance calculator, and I pulled a chart for today. And so if this is there are a lot of points and aspects to consider, but this is when you do a reading with Galactic Astrology, it's adding more stars back into your natal moment. In this case, it's a transit for today. It's June of 2026. And Roxanne and I were looking at how Chiron, for everybody, is currently at the 29th degree, the anaretic degree of Aries. So it's 29 degrees, 57 minutes. And it's going to move from Aries into Taurus tomorrow. And it'll stay there for a couple months and then retrograde back into Aries. But when we look at what stars are going to work with this Chiron energy, the wounded healer, we're finding that Andromeda's beautiful star Merak, which carries feminine fertility, the divine feminine energy of freedom and freedom, but also receptivity, in addition to the beautiful energy of Pisces. I'm going to pause here and ask Roxanne, when you look at this chart, what calls out to you for this now moment as we look at the stars past for today?
I want to know if it's okay. I want to add one comment on Merak
Absolutely.
conjunct Chiron right now and how this beautiful fixed star in the Andromeda constellation is going to be working with it for the next several months. So one thing that really, I guess, shoots out at me is the people or these light, higher vibrational beings from Iraq are really known as the dream people. And I feel like this is a big invitation for us to really connect with our dreams and healing through our dreams, because Chiron is known as the wounded healer who was able to alchemize his own pain into something very magical and very holistic. And so dreams is a very holistic approach to healing. And guess what? It's free. We all can dream. We all sleep. It's the doors open. And I do believe it's the one gift given us from our ancient forefathers, the Lyrans. I believe that the Lyrans really gave us the gift of dreams so that this avenue could be a primary way to tap into those memories. And so I think that there might be a lot of activations for people in the next few months in their dream world, in their dream landscape, whether it's daydreaming, whether it's a quick nap, whether it's actually physically sleeping. So I wanted to add that to that notion. But what also really speaks to me is Regulus, this royal star. So Regulus, the 4 stars, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ursula, but the 4 major stars, royal stars from Persia, 3,000, several thousands of years ago, have all moved into mutable energy. And so with Regulus in Virgo at 11 is a number of the angels, 11 arcminutes, really meeting with the South Node, I just feel like we're going to really be using our royal bloodlines and our intergalactic hybrid hybridization. That's a word. Did I just make up a word? I'm not sure. To really benefit our soul growth going forward. You know, being on Earth, I do feel like we're celebrities out in the cosmos. There is something about being on Earth at this time that really differentiates itself from other timelines. And a lot of souls are here as royalty, as ascended masters, as prophets, as just beautiful, beautiful high vibrational beings. And so I feel like this activation collectively of Regulus is really going to amp up as well. So I don't know. That's something that really pokes out at me right now.
I love that. We're talking galactic astrology here. I'm going to add another layer. This is fun.
Okay.
Maybe we'll do this more regularly. Well, I just love that the archetype of the dolphin, Delphinius sualicin, is at the descendant. And so for me, it's almost like taking your idea of dreaming and the gift of dreaming with Andromeda, Mirac, and Pisces, the compassionate one, that energy around the wound that each of us carries at the anaretic degree, um, playing with the dolphin and allowing for that childlike joy to partner with us. You mentioned earlier that oftentimes young girls that you might work with love the unicorn. And as you were saying that, it's, of course, the mythology of the pure of heart, the feminine, is calling that magical creature in. It has to do with a certain purity and innocence and joy. And so I was thinking about the unicorn and then seeing the dolphin. It's kind of adding to the layers of what we're seeing happening in the cosmos. Let's see. I want you to talk to me, please, a little bit more about you natally talking about the anaretic degree and what it's meant for you with that 29 degrees. So here comes Chiron. It is the wound that we alchemize and we share with others how we made it through the darkest of night, or how did you deal with that sacred point of living with the pain and alchemizing it. So I just wasn't sure if there was something else around the number 29, the last before you get to the shifting into the next energy.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know my chart, my ascendant is a 29th degree. And actually, natally, I have Chiron at 29th degree as well in Taurus. So, yes, for all of those who do follow astrology, in the next few years, I will be coming up on my Chiron return, which is another big shift for anybody who's gone through that. When, from people's testimonies, when people go through their Chiron return, their life gets shaken up a little bit like a bottle. You're trying to get the balsamic at the bottom, and you're trying to get it undiluted. That energy prominently on my 29th degree, I constantly feel like I'm asked to have my life shaken up a little bit. To then, how am I going to get through that experience and make sure that I make it through in a more elevated state? And what I will say is accountability. I am not perfect at accountability, but I think we all have to recognize the parts that we play, because we can be some of our greatest actors and greatest actresses, and we don't even know it. If we could all get paid for our acting job, we would never have to worry about anything. So, but there's a sense of accountability and responsibility that we owe to how we react, how we respond, and how we want to take our healing. For a lot of us, we might not have the financial abundance to find or a facilitator that can help us through that energetically. So some of us are really on our own. Some of us don't have like-minded support groups. And I would say to them, if you don't have those resources, when you close your eyes, where is your power spot? Where is the place or space in your life that makes you feel happy and joyful and stress free? And if you can then go find that physically, go there. So if you close your eyes and the water is there, there's free water. There's lakes, there's rivers, there's ponds. Drive, go there, talk to the water, have a conversation with what's around you. That might just be your healing support, and you didn't have to go pay, again, trying to be economical about it for people who don't have those resources. But I would say it's about taking responsibility at this point through those 29-degree experiences.
Yeah, because oftentimes we'll see the turbulent shadow side of the sign at the 29th degree has been my experience. So it's like it all kind of combusts before it moves into the next. So taking accountabilities with Aries energy, it would be probably too dogmatic, too in your face. And I think the counterpoint that you're offering is you can self-resource, find agency in the natural world and within the energy centers of your own body. So it's that tuning inward to energy that's abundant around us. Again, forest Reiki, you mentioned, or the mycelium of the roots of the tree, or going into that cosmic phone booth and getting a reading with Roxanne. There's many ways to self-resource. We just have to almost unplug from all the noise. And believe me, it's seductive noise. It's screen, the dopamine that's happening when you, oh, look at this and oh, look at that. And so basically turning it off for a bit and tuning into remembering who we are. I'm just wondering, as we're closing, I feel like there's more that the dragons want to say. Do you channel the dragons at times, or have you found this to be open through your throat chakra? In human design, you're a generator, yes? Or a
Yes. So I'm a 6 true profile. I'm a sacral authority, and I am a generator. Yes, as my aura type. And what makes it interesting is I'm a triple split. For any of those who know a little bit more in depth about human design, and that can really shake things up because you might feel like you're alone and isolated, and certain people bring things together. They bridge the islands within us. So it's interesting.
yeah, or the transits or the stars.
The
For me,
star.
when you said 6-2, I went immediately to, wow. So left angle cross, someone who's here to really have those karmic fated kind of relationships show back up again in this lifetime, to see about, can we integrate it? Or what are your choice points in this lifetime? And how's it going for you?
I wanted to go back to the question you asked me before. Do I channel dragon language? And what I would say to that is I receive a lot of imagery from them, and then I create a dialogue with them, but it's not coming necessarily out of my throat chakra. It's more of a conversation with them. And I will also be able to see if certain people have certain dragons around them and maybe what lineage of dragons they come from. I have some good friends who carry the Kuan Yin dragon energy, and they'll show me what colors they are, an opalescent or a yellow for Kuan Yin. But people have a lot of dragon guides. And so in the readings, that will come out. I will be able to share stories of their dragon guides. I don't necessarily always get the names of their dragons, but I can see their colors and what element they may be of dragon, and stories that follow them in their connection with dragons. So that's a beautiful thing that happens in these readings or intuitive readings with the dragons. And I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for them. And as far as your next question, which was about contact with multi-galactic planetary beings. As I said in Julia's podcast, it has not been easy to navigate that world, but I also know how important it is to be able to stand up and be a voice for them. We're going to be at a point where I feel like it might be used in a negative way. That's why I'm ready to see disclosure. I'm curious to see this spin on how he presents the galactic communities. But we need as many people as possible to almost like vouch that this is safe, that this is going to become a normal part of our existence, to be able to communicate with higher galactic beings. And so if I can be one of those voices throughout my journey, I'm ready now. I wasn't ready before, but I am ready now. And actually, in the book that I'm writing, there is a chapter dedicated to my experiences with contact, because I've had several experiences with them. And all of them have been very positive and very eye-opening. I've learned so much from them. So
Do you have a title for your book that you're working with now, or is it?
I'm still playing around with that, Ursula. I feel like that's going to actually be the last piece of my book, is my title. I'm still.
I have a feeling Mount Shasta is going to offer you some options, and so I hope that when you return from your pilgrimage and I return from Shasta, perhaps we'll meet together again and share our findings with friends here on the Ascension Playground. So, would you like to do that?
Ursula, that's an amazing idea. Yes,
So,
yes.
in closing, thank you so much, Roxanne, for sharing. And we hope to see everybody again on the Ascension Playground. Bye for now.
Bye.